Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition of Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America. And I'm your host, Ronald Bethea. And you know, if you join us on a regular basis, the slogan for this show, the slogan for this show, if there's power in numbers, then the Positive Change Purchasing Cooperative LLC captures that power for your financial benefit. The Positive Change Purchasing Cooperative LLC serves as an economic blueprint for renewable energy companies, both large and small, along with increasing market share for African and African American renewable energy companies to address the high energy costs at our historically Black colleges and universities, to utilize Black owned farmlands and HBCU campuses, to develop capacity and initiatives for renewable energy projects to bring down the underemployment of young African American men and women locally, nationally, and throughout the diaspora. Also, to educate the Black community about the economic impacts of climate change and the need for environmental education through Black Talk radio programs such as Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a scheduled guest today, but you know, yours truly, my name is Ron Bethea, and we bring this platform you over the platform of Blog Talk Radio. We are streaming over Facebook, Twitter, Link, and X. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, if you join us on a regular basis, that this show, the call-in number is 646-668-2948. Once again, that call-in number is 646-668-2948. Please press 1 on the phone pad after dialing the call-in number, because you'll be in our green room and we want to bring you right on into our living room so we can have this discussion about our topic of discussion for this day. Ladies and gentlemen, as I've indicated, we don't have a scheduled guest. And once again, that call-in number is 646-668-2948. Ladies and gentlemen, we are faced with a number of challenges in the renewable energy industry. As we know, there is a change of administration in the White House. As of Monday at 11:59 p.m., we will go from the Biden administration into the so-called president-elect administration of COVID 45 plus 2, known as Donald Trump. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we want to look at how and what do you think Martin Luther King Jr. would think about the impact of this change of administration as it relates to the energy industry, as we look at the fact that in the 1800s, there was an executive order that was signed then by President Lincoln, which gave African Americans access to 40 acres and a mule. 100 years later, President Biden signed Executive Order 14008 and Executive Order 13985. Those executive orders gave rise to the Invest in America agenda. As we know, that Invest in America agenda, as Build Back Better, and the Inflation Reduction Act. And as we begin to look at this, ladies and gentlemen, we are in fact looking at the Biden and Harris administration launched an initiative called the Justice 40 Initiative. And we have been beating the drum around this initiative for the last 4 years, trying to get the Department of Energy here in Washington, D.C., to understand that these offices called EJE, which were created to, in fact, write the policy, initiate and develop the programs, to send out the RFPs on the various funding initiatives from all 6 federal agencies, which has given the largest investment in the history in this country to combat climate change and to deal with infrastructure. We're talking about $1.7 trillion. $1.7 trillion has been invested, and less than 2% of that has been directed to African American owned businesses, churches, nonprofit organizations, colleges and universities. And as we began to look at this overall bigger picture, what does this really mean? As we begin to look at the application and the of how this funding will reach the African American community, because the executive order states that 40% of the $1.7 trillion investment must be directed to low and moderate income communities. It did not say African American communities solely. So I want to be very, very clear on where we are when we begin to look at the dismal numbers of the number of solar installations and design firms doing business in the U.S. I have served in the capacity as president of the National Association of Blacks in Solar over the last almost 4.5 years. And looking at the data, which has been put out by the Solar Foundation and the Solar Industry Trade Association, which are charged with advocating for the solar industry, and the Solar Foundation, which receives your tax dollars to keep the statistical data around employment, companies, and the breakdown of how many African Americans and other minority groups are being employed in this industry. We are here today in 2025, we're looking at African Americans' participation around 8% in the solar industry as it relates to people who are working as in rooftop installers. When we began to look at the other updated data, I would have to look at the Solar Foundation and numbers, but I know as it relates to the number of African American renewable energy companies doing business in the U.S., with over 13,000 firms doing business in the U.S., we have less than 100 African American owned run firms nationwide. So this law creates a major challenge for the African American community if you don't have companies that were positioned to go after this funding. And that has been the story when we began to look at the municipalities that we have in America, over 200 historically, over 100 historically Black townships. If we begin to look at the organizations such as historical townships and settlements run by the Honorable Johnny Ford, which we are a member of that organization. And we have had these discussions, and the questions all became was, how do we tap into some of these resources for their communities? Well, it was a very simple question. Answer to that question, you must apply for the funding. So that is where the issue came in, because a lot of the technical assistance which was needed to help these low and moderate income communities apply for these grants, because they don't have staffing on at their level of government, because they don't have the the numbers. We're talking about communities, rural communities with population bases under 50,000 people. So it has created a number of issues and problems as it relates to African Americans being able to benefit from this new green economy. Myself and my former boss, Vice President, Mr. Will R. Shirley with Sundial Solars USA, we beat this drum for the last 4 years concerning these issues. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as I said to you, we don't have a scheduled guest, but we have to look at and raise the question around this issue of where is the Green Economic Development Plan in the implementation of the Build Back Better and the Inflation Reduction Act? And as you know, if you've been following me over the last 4 years, there wasn't one. And the Justice 40 initiative was the response from the Biden and Harris administration. But as we know, the executive order and initiative, which is the Justice 40 initiative, indicated that 40% must be directed at low and moderate income communities. Well, we know that African American communities are not the only communities that are low and moderate income in this country. So we have to understand that we're in a position where we had to compete with collaborations which have been developed with other communities and minority groups in this country, such as Native Americans, tribes, which are in a solely different priority and classification when it began to look at the Native American communities known as the Indian nation. So we get that. But what we are saying is that if we begin to look at the political capital which has been invested in the Democratic Party, which yours truly, I happen to be a registered independent, but we vote based on policy. And when we begin to look at the Republican administration and the Democratic administration and who has put out policies which are more beneficial affecting the African American community, there is no comparison between the Democratic and Republican Party. We know that the Democratic Party has done more in terms of policy and legislation, which has been beneficial to the African American community. So, with those things being said, ladies and gentlemen, we need to make sure that people understand that we look at policy. And when we look at that policy, we want to know how is this policy going to benefit our communities. So the question has become, ladies and gentlemen, as I've indicated, where is the Green Economic Development Plan in the implementation of Executive Order 14008 and 13985? As we look at some very key words, ladies and gentlemen, and keywords are very, very important. Justice, equity, inclusion, and diversity, which have been constantly used inside all 6 federal agencies over the last 4 years. The problem, what does it really mean? When we look at the U.S. Department of Energy Office of Energy Justice and Equity, known as the EERE offices, is getting ready to be completely eliminated across all 6 federal agencies because the Biden-Harris administration and Build Back Better and the Inflation Reduction Act were done by executive order. But there's a silver lining in this, ladies and gentlemen. We have hundreds of grantees that will be receiving this $1.7 trillion. And they are represented by congressmen and senators in both red and blue states. And we have launched a national campaign to get the 119th Congress now to codify funding for the EERE offices so that these teams of very, very much so deserving public servants who have done the heavy lifting and the work of writing the policy, initiating the programs at the federal level, putting together the RFPs for grants. And we're going to look at some of those grants this morning, ladies and gentlemen, to give you an idea what's at stake. Which brings you to the topic of our show this morning. Funding notice, $88 million available for the advanced vehicle technologies. This particular grant, ladies and gentlemen, is coming from the U.S. Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, which is under and partnering with the offices of EJE. Vehicle Technology Office, the U.S. Department of DOE announced that the fiscal year 2025 Vehicle Technology Office VTO program, which is a wide-ranging program, and we're going to give you some more information around concerning this wide-ranging program. This is a VTO program wide notice of funding opportunity. This funding opportunity will award up to $88 million for projects that will seek innovative transportation solutions on and off road vehicles. DOE is committed to pushing the frontiers of science and engineering, catalyzing domestic jobs through research, development, demonstration, and deployment, and ensuring affordable and low-income emissions energy in available to all communities in America. Topics under this funding opportunity will advance affordable and reliable energy innovation in the mobility and improve U.S. competitiveness. Areas of concentration are 10 areas. Topic 1, technologies to enhance lithium-ion cell safety. As more and more electric vehicles and EVs enter the roadways, concerns over vehicle safety remains a top priority. Top area focuses of the deployment of technologies to improve abuse tolerance of lithium-ion cells for the type being used to plug in electric vehicles, that is cells with graphic nodes and mass produce production. Topic 2 area, low cost production of lithium. As lithium metal based batteries continue to evolve, there are concerns about supply and cost of the lithium metal. Topic seeks innovative approaches for producing battery guides, lithium at low cost, with reducing energy consumptions, imported productions, yield, and minimal environmental impacts compared to current processes. Top areas, low cost production of lithium. Topic 2B on the lithium metal surface protection. TOPS seeks to develop a novel material that can form a beneficial pacification layer on the surface of lithium foil for use for rechargeable lithium batteries containing liquid or liquid-stated electrodes. And these are some very, very technical areas, ladies and gentlemen. But what's very important for you to understand that you'll be able to find all of these opportunities of area of concentration of what they're looking for by logging on to our website, going on under the topic of discussion, talking about this $88 million. Like I've indicated, low cost battery production for lithium, lithium metal surface protection, ultra long cycle life lithium batteries for heavy duty electric trucks, standardization of battery molecule design in heavy duty electric trucks, thermal technology for zero emissions for vehicles, optimized grid planning for electric vehicles using advanced metering and infrastructure, co-op renewable fuel and off-road vehicle pilots, vehicle life cycle analysis baseline, qualified improvements on battery, bus star joining, electric vehicle workforce development training, and vehicle technology integration, and which is an open topic. These are the areas of funding for this $88 million of funding that are going out the door, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can hear, me speaking concerning these issues is very, very clear that our colleges and universities will and need to be, at our historically Black colleges and universities, need to be involved in this research and development in this arena. So this is why we present this information that we provide. We're going to continue to look at a number of the opportunities, ladies and gentlemen, that are available on our website as we begin to look at what we are doing here on our platform of Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America. We're going to look at now new funding available to advance innovation in energy technologies. This particular funding grant, ladies and gentlemen, has $12.5 million in funding available to establish a circular supply chain accelerator. And if you don't know what a circular supply chain accelerator is, you can log on to our website and you can learn more about that. The Energy Storage System Prize offers 4.8 million to advance industrial innovation. So looking back at the $12.5 million notice for circular supply chains, the U.S. Department of Energy announced that $12.5 million to establish a multi-year effort to accelerate the deployment of technology to improve product and materials circular in support of to secure the sustainable supply chains. The in, Envision Accelerator will conduct level analysis and facilitate collaborations across industries to catalyze learning and increase the impact of the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Investments. The circulatory chain support to a robust and competitive manufacturing sector while providing the economy-wide environmental benefits. However, realizing these economic benefits will only be possible through development and the commercialization of new technologies and processes that will increase, reuse, repair, recycle, remanufacture, and repurpose of products and materials. Developing a circulatory supply chain for rapid growing materials, streamline these with high impact potential, such as criteria material in key successful transforming our linear economy into a more sustainable one. Now, this is very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. When we begin to look at developing this circular supply chain accelerator, when we begin to look at the growing need to recycle solar panels, which will be aging out, because the average life of a solar panel is around 20 to 25 years. And we have millions of dollars invested in the deployment of rooftop solar and commercial solar projects around this country. These panels are going to have to be taken and recycled. So that creates opportunities for young people who are looking at opportunities in the manufacturing arena of being able to take these older panels, which will have to come down and be replaced with new ones and more efficient panels, and to recycle those panels with for reuse. So these are new industries that will be will be coming to the forefront, and it's how do we get our African American youth and college age youth looking at these areas of business when we're not having this discussion at our colleges and universities, which is one of the reasons why we provide this platform, Solar Now and the Future with its Economic Impact on Black America. Now, as I indicated, there's a blue button on each one of these captions that says learn more. So you're more than welcome of logging on to our website at positivechangepc.com, and you'll be able to get this information. Now, you also have another RFP out up to $10 million available for eligible systems research, ALGAL, research and development to expand bioenergy feedstock. That's above my pay grade and my expertise of science in this area, but you'll be able to log on to our website, click the learn more button, and you'll be able to find out more detailed information about these dates to be able to respond to these grant applications. And looking at key dates as it relates to the funding notice on circular supply chains, and we're going to provide that information, ladies and gentlemen. The date of January 16th, 2025 is the issue date. Mission deadline for concept paper is March 31st, 2025, 5 p.m. Submission deadline for full application is July 18th, 2025, 5 p.m. Expected time frame for award negotiations will be February of 2026. So as you can see, if you apply for this funding now you'll be able to download the full funding opportunity from EERE. You will also be able to download the circular of the different applications for each phase of this process. You'll find those links under key dates once you click on the Learn More button for each one of the phases and each one of these funding opportunities. And all of this, ladies and gentlemen, has been made available through the EJE offices and the Inflation Reduction Act. This is what's bringing you these funding opportunities. And we need to be about it, and we need to get real busy. Now we're looking at another opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. There's $9 million available to expand regional geothermal data. It's not 9 million. It's not 9 billion. It's 19 million available for expanding regional geothermal data. And you'll be able to look at the regional partnerships for geothermal data. You can click on that blue link. It will provide more details. There will be an information session on this on January 27th, 2025 at 2 p.m. And as we've indicated, each one of these provides you more detail. Coming soon, new funding for interconnection, stakeholders, collaborations, and technical assistance. distributed energy resources, interconnection solutions, collaborations, and accelerating transmission systems, interconnection strategies. You can get more information on these initiatives, ladies and gentlemen, also by logging on to our website and strolling down. Now, you also will be able to find coming soon, as I've indicated, new funding for DOE Industrial Technology Validation Program. And I'm trying to, and I'm very interested in what this program is providing. Now, will soon offer industrial facilities up to $400,000 to support real world testing and validation of emerging technologies. The ITV program pillars industrial sites, technology developers, and it evaluates novel industry technology designed to reduce energy and water use, cut costs, and to increase resilience. Participating in ITV programs a valuable opportunity to mitigate many of the risks associated with installing and implementing emerging technology. So that is what this information is, and this funding is about. So that will give you a synopsis of all of the various funding opportunities which is under this particular EERE funding opportunity announcement. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different funding opportunities, one at 12.5 million, one at 4.8 million, one at 10 million, and one at 19 million. So as you can see, there's a tremendous amount of funding opportunities out here if you are in any of these areas of technical tech and have the technical expertise for these in these areas of technologies and sciences. So these are the things that we have to really beat the drum around in getting this information out to our historically Black colleges and universities, because we cannot afford to be left out of these different arenas. And we intend to keep doing just that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the call-in number for this show is 646-668-2948. Once again, that call-in number for this show is 646-668-2948. And I realize that we have provided you with quite a bit of information, but the way there is a slight 5-second delay when I'm speaking, so I'm constantly talking to keep the consistency of the flow of what information that I'm trying to get to you without me pausing and stopping from speaking to you. Now, under our news and events tab, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like for you to stroll down. And I would also like to make you aware of a webinar which was put on by the Brookings Institute, Unlocking Infrastructure Investments for Distressed and Rural Communities, Infrastructure Investment in Distressed Communities. You had Mr. Corey Wiggins, who is the director of the Delta Region Authority, which is based out of Mississippi. You had a Tony Piper, PAPA, who is also heading one of these regional authorities, with Mrs. Gayla Conley Maskin, who also heads the Appalachian Regional Authority. And these authorities are regional organizations that work in collaborations with state, county, municipalities, with nonprofits and other organizations in their regions. And I found it to be a very, very informative and educational webinar, which can connect the dots for a number of our organizations and and groups that are out here looking for technical assistance and looking for help with economic development with renewable energy projects that may be located in their market demographics where they are located. So I strongly recommend that you log on to our website and uh, take the time to listen to unlocking infrastructure investments in distressed rural places, infrastructure investment for and rural. They're calling it rural. Here's that word: equity, justice, and inclusion. So we seem not to be getting away from that. But all I am saying, ladies and gentlemen, I've had conversations myself with several officers at the Department of Energy here in Washington, D.C. And it is very, very clear that the 119th Congress needs to codify funding for the offices of EJE, which were created by the Biden administration by executive order, and they go across all 6 federal agencies, and they have done a yeoman's job in developing this policy, writing the policy, implementing the programs, getting these grant opportunities out the door. And now we know that a number of the grantees have inked their signatures on these contracts. For example, we had a pilot program which was started here in Washington, D.C., called the Solar Fall Program. This particular pilot program has been picked up by the Biden and Harris administration, and under the Environmental Protection Agency, under the Greenhouse Gas Initiative, $7 billion was put in that pilot program, which stands to benefit some 900,000 U.S. citizens, low and moderate income U.S. citizens who are interested in putting PV systems on their roofs. This is what this program is targeted to do. My problem is to look at how these contracts have been entered, because many of these contracts were not signed until December, the first week of December of 2024. These initiatives started 4 years ago. And as we are aware, then the state, nonprofits, and these various entities have had to partner with various organizations in their market demographics, and they have not rolled out how they intend to get this information out to communities across this country. Here in the state of Maryland, I've been in communication with the Maryland Clean Energy Center. You can go to their website and you can see who the collaboration partners are, and you will find that when they sit down to sort of cut up that $62 million that is not open to the public for us to be able to listen to what they are planning to do. I think that's a flawed system, ladies and gentlemen. There should be some transparency around those meetings, being that these are our tax dollars that are going to be utilized. And one of the questions that I've raised here in the state of Maryland is, what will be the income eligibility requirements for this solar for all program? Because they definitely should not be using the same eligibility requirement, which is tied with the energy assistance program here in Maryland, because the income eligibility requirements is entirely too low. When you're looking at an eligibility requirement of telling people, if you have income of over $2,510 a month, you cannot apply for energy assistance if you get behind on your electricity bill. For two people, $3,406. That is entirely too low and is not realistic based on the income levels and the money that young people who are working today in the workforce are earning, especially if they're working for the federal government, district government, or any of those agencies, whether it be Metropolitan Police Department, Metro Systems, bus drivers, or Metro Systems. It, it, they make much more money than they did. And I'm talking about young people who have just entered the job market for college and universities. As they enter the job market, if you're talking about minimum wage being around $15 an hour, you're talking about $30,000 a year. And that is considered you're working poor. So I raised this issue around to a representative at the Maryland Clean Energy Center to say, how do we, as state residents and consumers of electricity, because electricity is not a want, it is a need. And it's totally asinine for you to have to call numbers and leave voicemail messages, and people who don't return phone calls, which has been one of my experiences in dealing with Maryland state agencies. So we're putting it out in the public purview that we need more transparency around these funding programs, these initiatives around renewable energy. When we begin to look at the high cost of energy, gas, electricity, as we begin to look at the state of Maryland and then specifically Prince George's County, bring a data processing center to the county of Prince George's County, and that one data processing center can use as much energy to power 1 million homes, which can increase our electricity costs by 20%. So how do we, as ratepayers, get our input when you contact your public service commission and you're trying to get information on these type of initiatives when nobody's talking about these initiatives? And so with that being said, here in the state of Maryland, we are quite aware, and I'm quite aware because I have been working with my state delegate, Mrs. Dana Tarvez, and we were able to get a bill introduced for Justice 40 for the state of Maryland. because here in the state of Maryland, as of January 1 of 2024, the state of Maryland had received $12.4 billion from the Inflation Reduction Act and Build Back Better, and 174 major construction projects, and not one African American developer as a lead developer on any of these projects. I think, and I hope I'm going to be able to get this information to Governor Westmore and let him know, well, that's not acceptable. I voted for you, and I'm not a registered Democrat. I'm a registered independent. But these are the concerns that I feel that we as consumers everywhere should be putting forth to our elected officials, because everything starts with politics and everything ends with politics, just like everything starts with energy and everything ends with energy. But the politics in the energy industry, they are all related. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of another exciting edition show here on Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America. And in closing, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this podcast is brought to you every week by the Positive Change Purchasing Cooperative, which serves as an economic blueprint for renewable energy companies, both large and small, along with increasing market share for African and African American renewable energy companies to address the high energy costs at our historically Black colleges and universities, utilize Black-owned farmlands and HBCU campuses to develop capacity and initiatives for renewable energy projects to bring down the underemployment of young African and African American men and women locally, nationally, and throughout the diaspora. Also to educate the African and African American community about the economic impacts of climate change and the need for environmental education through Black Talk radio programs such as Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as we gotta say every week, we don't want you to meet us back here. We want you to meet us back here as we close another exciting edition of Solar Now and the Future with its economic impact on Black America.